Alright, ladies and gents, welcome to the video. Some Battlefield 5 today, and I've just sat down and hit record, really. I've not got a script at all. I know what I want to talk about in general. I'm just going to reel off what comes to mind. So, the premise today is weapons that the community think are overpowered, or at least, you know, a large amount of people have said are overpowered. I've picked one for each class, or at least one type for each class, and I'm going to talk about whether I think it's actually overpowered or not, why people think it's overpowered, if it was overpowered before, overpowered sometimes, that kind of deal. And make no mistake, there are some guns in this game that are overpowered. It's not just in people's minds, and it generally comes down to gunplay mechanics and weapon balancing, which at the minute is kind of all over the place, unfortunately. Hence why you're seeing the Type 2A everywhere and whatever. So, let's kick this off. I don't care if this is 3 minutes long or 20 minutes long or whatever, we'll just see what happens. I'll post it. You're getting a Battlefield 5 video, so I hope some of you are happy about that. These are a struggle for me these days. So we open with the Assault class, and it's obviously the STG. This is the only weapon that could really be picked for the overpowered slot for this class. It's so overused, and yes, it is because it's overpowered. It's not overpowered in a particularly obvious sense as such, it just comes down to ease of use. With everything in the game being, you know, pretty easy to aim now. I mean, I'm playing on console, and it's easy to aim and easy to control recoil. And it's notoriously more difficult to control recoil on console with thumbsticks. The STG just shoots straight. When you're playing a game where everything shoots pretty straight, and you can hit the target with pretty much everything, and damage at range has been gimped on a lot of weapons, well, why would you not use this? The semi-auto rifles before, the value of them was that at range they had an advantage. Sorry, couldn't think. At range they had an advantage because of the nature of their fire. They fired one bullet at a time, thus you could control it more easily, could be more precise, whereas more spray and pray weapons, or let's just say fully automatic weapons, obviously weren't as good at range. Weren't. Now, it's not like they equal at long range, but mid-range and longish mid-range, there's no issue with using an automatic, especially something like the STG. And the reason it's the STG is because it wasn't designed just for close-up play, unlike the M1907 or M1917. I always forget which one it is. You know what I mean, the fast-firing one. Or the Sturmgewehr, which also isn't bad now, but the STG beats the Sturmgewehr at all ranges for damage, believe it or not. It's got a controllable rate of fire, and thus when you've got that longer range than the other fully automatics, and it's easy to control, it just comes out the obvious winner. So it comes down to gunplay mechanics and weapon balance. The STG is just clearly the best because of this. It is the easiest thing to use in most circumstances, and it has the advantage over its competitors, such as the Sturmgewehr 1-5, which realistically should beat it at close range or something, you know, to give it a purpose. But for optimal time to kill, it doesn't. So yes, I think the STG is overpowered, but it's really just down to the overall gunplay design at the minute, rather than the gun itself in a lot of ways. Moving on, let's go to Medic, and it is the new Type 2A, and yes, I do think this is overpowered, but maybe not quite as overpowered as some people think. It is very, very easy to use. What you're watching on screen is me using it without any specializations on it. Close range, easy. Mid-range, easy. Long range, just got to tap fire and it still drops people. I had no issues picking this up and using it straight away, and honestly, my performance with it surprised me. It just wasn't hard. But it's not quite so overpowered as people think, because the Suomi kind of does compete with it a little in some ways. I had KHT120 tell me about this, and the Suomi is actually superior to the Type 2A in multiple ways when light bolt is considered. But my point is, and the reason why a lot of people are using the Type 2A is because without light bolt, it still fires extremely quickly, and it's still extremely controllable, and so it still has a very solid time to kill and is consistent, much like the STG. You know, I was running around with a Type 2A here on Iwo Jima, a pretty wide open map, and it just wasn't tough. It just didn't feel at much of a disadvantage. But this applies to pretty much a lot of weapons with a fast rate of fire that are easy to control, that maintain a decent damage model. To reiterate, when a game has laser beam accuracy, these kind of weapons are going to do well, and it makes it very, very hard to balance the game in a reasonable fashion. So yes, I think the Type 2A is overpowered. I think this is fairly obvious from how much it's being used. I felt it was fairly obvious in my own experiences with it, but it's not quite so overpowered as some people think. There are other SMGs that do come close to it, but I must mention also, if you do want to use light bolt, you still have a larger magazine than using, you know, the Suomi or whatever light bolt. And really high rate of fire weapons with large magazines, that's also going to be an issue. Basically, they didn't balance this one well, in my opinion. Not to the extreme extent that some people think, but SMGs in general aren't very well balanced. There's a huge disparity between some of them and other ones, and the Type 2A happens to fall into the category of ones that are just a bit too good. Moving on, support, and nothing in support is really overpowered, I don't think, right now. People used to say the MMGs, of course, but that's no longer the case. They're a bit of a meme, a bit of a troll weapon now, to be honest with you. So I've gone for shotguns, because a lot of people say, oh, shotguns are overpowered, shotguns are cheesy, shotguns are no skill. My point here is no, shotguns are not overpowered. I find that to be an insane point of view. You're welcome to your opinion if you disagree with me, of course. But look at the size of these maps. I mean, when we've just been talking about laser beam weapons, and shotguns can do damage, decent damage out to, you know, 5, 10, whatever meters, maybe a bit further, but it's not far. Compared to the size of these maps, how open they are, no, shotguns are not overpowered, and yes, shotguns do require skill. The skill is in the positioning, the closing of the gaps, all that kind of stuff, game sense, rather than just, you know, pulling the trigger. I simply can't get behind shotguns being overpowered. I couldn't get behind it in Battlefield 1, I can't get behind it now. I think it's ridiculous. Of course, if you sit in a corner with it, it seems really powerful. But if you go 7-1 in 25 minutes, like, really, are we calling that overpowered? No, the person just camped it out and shot someone in the back. Yeah, shotgun's really good at that, but so what? I don't really see people saying sniping is overpowered when someone, again, is sat at the very edge of the map, doing the opposite, and going 7-1 in 25 minutes. Yes, a bolt action rifle is very good at that, but at the same time, what did it provide for that person? That's not to say that they're not overpowered or they are. I'm just saying in that example, it's flawed, much like the shotgun one that gets brought up a lot of the time. And so no, I don't think shotguns are overpowered, and I think that's a pretty objective point of view, but it is open to your own opinion as well. And of course, this brings us to Recon, and this one was tough because, again, I don't really think anything's particularly overpowered. I really like the ZH-29, etc., but I think they fit in at the minute. Well, no, actually, weapon balance is so screwed that gun does seem pretty damn good, but again, that's just the overall balancing of the game. I don't think the ZH-29 is actually innately overpowered. So I've gone for the Boys AT rifle because lots of people have said it's overpowered. I said before it was overpowered. I said it was going to be a plague for the game with the new TTK, and I think there was a decent chance of that happening, but then things got tweaked so that it was a little more balanced, although it's still kind of screwed up. But at close range, a lot of weapons still maintain decent lethality now, whereas before I felt like they didn't. So the Boys AT rifle is not so overpowered as I thought it was going to be. It's not particularly widely used. I can't call it overpowered in its overall design anymore. The downsides of using it are extreme, but its actual action of one banging someone to the body in 100 meters, that in isolation is overpowered. It's a real pain. It encourages something I really don't like, this very slow passive playstyle in a game with not great visibility, and it's kind of trolly. It doesn't allow a lot of players to play the objective very well and all this kind of stuff. But no, when I try and use the Boys AT rifle, I do not find it to be overpowered because I feel like it hinders my ability and my performance. So I kind of have to retract my statement a little bit about it being overpowered that I made before, but of course the game has shifted a bit since then and all that kind of stuff. A lot of things are now laser beams, of course, so you can counteract it a bit more easily. No, the Boys AT rifle is not overpowered, but it is trolly, and I kind of wish it didn't exist. My opinion in the lifespan of this gun has gone from it being not overpowered to now not overpowered because the game changes so much. But no, it's fine. Don't like it, but it's fine. And that's how I'm going to round off today. Just me chatting and chilling and having a good time with you. There's a Battlefield 5 video for you. Expect some of these here and there, but also a lot of other stuff. Probably a lot of Destiny and whatever I want to play. But do let me know what you think. What is overpowered in the game? What isn't? And what do you think of the overall balance of the weapons in the game right now? Get in the comment section below and tell me and everybody else. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit the like button. That'd be awesome. It really would. Things are tough right now with me trying to diversify. Obviously, views are going to be way down. So anything you can do to help out is awesome. Whether that be hitting the like button, subscribing, notifications, Patreon, whatever it is, I thank you. There are the links below to my Twitter, my Patreon, my stream, my Facebook, all that. Find it there if you want. In the description and my pinned comment, that is. Here's the board of awesome for the epic people who support the channel on Patreon. They're all absolute heroes and I do love them all deeply, and of course often. I really do mean that. Really mean that. If you do want to join them in these tough times, it would be appreciated. The link again, description if you want. But no pressure, and I hope you enjoyed today. I'm GetGoodGuy and I will see you next time. Laters. Right, if I go back to this A flag and go round the back, was that explosion that tank blown up? No, no, different spot. Can I get around the back of it? There's someone here. Oh, it worked! Let's go! I'm sorry, I just screamed really loud right into the microphone, but let's go!